In this new Google Sites video tutorial, we're going to talk about sections, text boxes, images, the Embed URL tool, and the upload tool. So let's go ahead and get started. Now we have a website, and we have a header, we have a title, we're ready to start putting some content onto the page. Now we're going to be using insert tools, which are located in the top right. You're just going to click on this word insert, and you'll see a great number of things that you can insert into the page. So the first one we're going to do is a text box. Now I've already created a text box, but let's go ahead and just get started. I will hit text box, and it will create a new section and a text box. So in a text box, a cursor appears, it's flashing, it's ready for you to paste some text or type some text. Now when I say paste some text, maybe you've already written some information that you want on the site. You can copy and paste it into this text box, or you can just type it from scratch. So this is where some text would go. All right. Or you could just Control V and paste, or Command V and paste in some words. Now you have some control here. There are 4 different formats for your text: normal paragraph text, title, which is very big, and also colored based on your accent color. You could go with a heading or a subheading. In addition to that, you have bold, italic, alignments, numbered bullets, regular bullets, and the ability to create a hyperlink. Now the hyperlink tool can do 2 different things. If you just have the cursor waiting and no words, and you hit the hyperlink, it will ask you to put the text. So I'll type go to Google, and then the link, which you can either type in or paste in if you've copied it from your browser. Then it creates some words. Those words are underlined. If the user were to click on them, they would travel to the destination in question. You can also select font that is already there and use the hyperlink tool, and it will turn that word or words into a hyperlink that takes you to another location. So that's how that hyperlink tool works. If you are not happy with your text box and you want to get rid of it, you can always hit this trash can and it will delete it. Now it's interesting because when you go to delete it, you mouse over, it does say delete tile. And we are going to talk about what is a tile and how does that have work in new Google Sites. There's also a more editing button here at the end, which is represented by the 3 dots that often show that there's more stuff to do. You can clear the formatting of your text. You can create a strike through, and you can even start putting in some HTML code, which we're not going to cover in this video. All right, I'm pretty happy with what I got here. Looking at what I've got, there is some options available for controlling the size and the placement of this text box. While it is selected, it is outlined in this light blue, and there are 2 blue circles. The light blue shows me that this is what's selected, and the 2 blue circles show me that if I mouse over them, my control will change. So in this case, I can left click and drag left and right to resize this text box. You'll also notice at the top center there is a series of 10 tiny dots. If I mouse over them, my cursor turns into a 4-way arrow. This is an indication that I can move this around. So if I left click, hold, and drag, I can move my text box around the screen. I can even move it to a different location on the page. Pretty cool. So what exactly is going on there? How is it that I can just pick up stuff drag it and drop it, move it around the page. How is that all working? Well, News Sites uses a system of called sections and tiles. So you'll already notice in my example that I have two sections built. The sections are rows of content that go from left to right. And it's important to keep that left to right in mind, because when your website is converted to a mobile interface for your mobile audience, it will stack content in a left to right manner. So keeping track of how your sections are laid out, how your content is laid out in the sections is very important. Now, the content, the text boxes, the images, the embedded maps, the embedded calendars, all that crazy cool stuff, those are all considered tiles. And tiles can be moved around, resized, and placed in sections. You can even create new sections by dragging a tile out of one section until you see a thick blue line, which indicates that it will create a new section. Sections can also be formatted so that they look a little bit different. While mousing over a section, I get the option to, with these 10 little dots and the 4-way arrow, left click and drag it to reorder the sections. And when I reorder a section, I move all of the content along with it. Off to the left, there's a trash can. If I want to delete a section, I can. Keep in mind, however, that when you delete a section, you also delete everything that was in that section, all the tiles that were in that section. If I go to the paint palette, I have 4 different formatting options for a section. So normally it's just a white background with the dark colored font, but I could emphasize it, and it will, depending on my theme, it will use an accent color and make that background so that particular section sort of pops compared to everything else that just has a white background. I can emphasis number 2, which will use my accent color and really make that section of the page stand out. Or I could even grab a custom image and put that as my background. And the magic sparkles over here will readjust this background image to make sure that my font is legible for my audience. So those are the things that you can do with a section. And then keep in mind again that the content, the things that you are embedding and inserting into your page are the tiles. So tiles are placed in sections. Sections can be reordered on a page. All right, so now that we know about sections and we know about tiles and we understand text box, let's jump into image real quick. So to insert an image tile onto my page, I will go to insert and I will hit the image button. I'm going to click it and I get this window interface. Now by default it's asking if I want to upload something from my computer. So I can go to my computer. I can try to find some pictures and I can load them up into this queue. Now keep in mind here that I can search for more and more pictures and I can add them to this. Now doing so will allow me to upload multiple images at the same time. In this example I'm just going to do the one. So I'm going to hit upload. And now it uploads the picture to my page. And the picture comes in selected, and since it is selected, it gets outlined in this blue outline. You will notice that the little blue circles are here, but there are more of them than there were for the text box. That is because I have more resizing options for pictures. So if I were to grab it and start resizing the picture, you can see that it's not squashing or stretching the picture. It is using a series of resizing and cropping actions to try to make the picture look as good as it possibly can. And this is all being done automatically for me. Just like a text box style, I can left click and drag this content around until I find a place where I like it. I can even manually crop. So maybe I really just want the fox's face to be front and center. So I can move him over, I can scale it up, and I can decide, yeah, this is how I want to crop this picture. If I decide that I want to remove that cropping and start over, I can select what looks like a series of 4 corners making a box. It is the uncrop button, and it will return the picture to its original format. All right, so the last 2 things we could talk about here, we've got a insert link. So this will turn the picture into a hyperlink, and this is really cool if you're trying to make buttons and stuff. So let's see how that works. I'm going to go over to Insert and select Images again. This time I'm not going to upload from my computer. I'm going to go to Google Drive, and I'm going to find a button that I want to use. So I already have a folder set up that should have a button in it. There we go. And I'm going to select it, and it puts the button in. Now it's pretty big. So one of the first things I want to do is grab one of these blue dots, and I want to resize it. Now, problematic here, you can see it is not shrinking the picture for me. So while it is pretty smart about a lot of things, it still requires you to manually do stuff. So this is an excellent example. So I'm going to go to the manual crop tool, and I'm going to try to shrink it down and make this fit. All right, there we go. So I've got a morning sign up button. Now to make it a button, I'm going to select it. I can see it's selected because there's a blue outline everywhere, and I'm going to hit the insert link. And then for this example, I'm just going to tell it to go to Google. But if I had a Google form, for example, I could copy the URL from the Google form, and when they click on this, they would be taken to the Google form to fill it out, etc., etc. There's a lot of cool things you could do with buttons. So I'm going to hit apply. Now if I preview this, you can see that if I were to click on this button now, it takes me to the link. So the Insert Images tool, very neat, allows you to upload multiple images at a time. If you do select multiple images, it will just paste them all over your page. And now you basically, scrapbooking style, can move things around, delete things, make it fit the way that looks best for your page. All right. If you aren't happy with a picture, while it's selected, you can hit the trash can and it will delete that file for you. And last but not least, the dot dot dots at the end that give you more editing options. You can add text here, and this is called alt text. So this text will not show up, but if a visually impaired user came to your site, it would add a description of the picture so that they would have a better understanding of what was going on the website. So we got a surfing pug here, so we would say, this is a surfing pug. Now, alt text is definitely a best practice. We have a lot of students who would benefit from having this additional alt text in there, because when they go to visit a website, if the website's being read to them by a program or something, it will read, what these pictures are, and that will enhance that experience for them. So the other thing that you could do is replace the image. So maybe you have your layout on your page exactly the way you want it, but you think that it would be better if you had used a different picture. Well, instead of deleting this picture and possibly messing up the whole layout of your page, you could go to this dot 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 and do replace image, find the image that you would like to use instead. And it will put that picture in place of the existing picture and keep that same tile size and dimension for you. So it's a pretty useful feature. Now, before we adjourn this particular video, we're going to briefly touch upon the Embed Tool and the Upload Tool. Now, the Embed Tool is not as functional as it could be at this time. Keep in mind this was recorded in December of 2016. But the general idea is different services around the internet, maybe an Instagram photo feed or a Twitter feed, things like that, will provide you with an embed code that you can then take back here, paste into this URL, and then it will add it automatically to your site. Now currently I haven't been able to find any embed codes that are working with this tool set. I'm going to rack that up to this being a new tool set, and maybe not everything's working, but that's what that embed URL tool is going to be for. This is not the tool that you would use to link to other sites. That is hyperlinking, and that's covered in the individual tiles tool sets. So for pictures, the hyperlink tool is here. For text, the hyperlink tool is up here. And the upload button, this is basically a way to grab a whole bunch of stuff from your computer and upload it all at once to your site. Now, similar to when I grabbed multiple images earlier, whatever you grab, it isn't being stored on a clipboard or in a special folder. It all gets dumped on this page. So if you use this batch upload tool, you will be putting everything onto the current page that you're working on, and you will have to find a way to move it around and make it fit. So we just covered these 4 insert tools and the concept of sections and tiles, and also how to move tiles around, and also how to format our sections. All right, we're going to cover additional insert tools, pages, and publishing in future videos.